So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to another song, and this one I tend to use a lot in my teachings just because I love the song so much, and it really is a kind of universal, helpful song. It's the chord progression to Can't You See by Marshall Tucker, which uses a D, a C, a G, and then back to D. So logic says, right-hand side says, hey, we should be using D major over the top of this. And I'm going to. So let me show you what that sounds like. So let's check this out. Now I'm just going to use D major pentatonic. So D major pentatonic fits. This is what this should be. I should be using D major pentatonic. It is not a AC/DC ZZ Top kind of sound. It's more of a pop-oriented sound. Now again, I don't want to get all, into stylistic and genre pop and rock. It's all rock to me. All this stuff is rock. But from a soloing perspective, we've got to start trying to define something in our head. So versus the first example I gave you, this one, I want you to see what happens here. So I'm soloing D major pentatonic, and it's working out great. It's exactly what the guitar player uses, and it sounds just fine. But I want you to see what happens if I approach this song then with minor pentatonic over the top. Okay? It still works. And it works because I'm taking this song and I'm injecting this rock and roll, this rock logic into a chord progression that should just be major. Okay? Now, in my love for this song and my understanding of the real world, if I was to play this song on stage, and I used to play in a band that we did this with many years ago, but the beginning of the song, because it's meant to be kind of mellow, right, and using some cross-sticking and some things like that, I would very much stay major through the beginning of the song and soloing major, because that's the vibe that you're trying to give off with this, with that great three-part harmony going on in there and all that sort of thing with the chorus. And then what we would do is at the end, we would go into the a cappella part where everybody's just singing, "Can't you see?" Right? And then we'd come back out of that, and the drummer would kick in, boom, da 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 da, and he'd start kicking more of a rock beat, same tempo and everything. But then I would kick in minor pentatonic over the top, and it sounded great, and people loved it because it brought the energy level up. Now, I want you to understand that there's guitar players out there that do this all the time, where the song is predominantly major. It kind of fits in that right-hand category, that major pop category. But they inject this minor over the top and send it into this blues rock and roll world, even though the song itself might be more predominantly major, right? The first name that comes to my mind is for sure Slash. Players like Slash do this all the time, where they'll do a section of it in major and then they'll go minor over the top of something, okay? Now, again, I don't want to get into the soloing tactics because that's different for everybody. That's a whole nother, a large conversation as to when to use, licks and phrasing and all that kind of stuff. That's a whole nother thing. I just want to set up the scenario for you to understand how to tackle this. So you'll see with what I'm doing with Can't You See, I wouldn't play like major and minor constantly back and forth. I would set this song up as being kind of an elevation where it's major and it's just kind of soothing to people. And then at the end, I bring it up and I make it minor and it becomes more powerful. If you think of, again, there's just a million songs you could look at that do things like this. But that's what I want you to think about a little bit is instead of always just playing major because the song's major or minor pentatonic because the song is minor, which we're going to get to in a second as well, I want you to understand that there's this little twisted world in the center here, which is the rock logic, which is saying, hey, if the song is in major, that doesn't mean we can't solo minor over the top, but we have to understand what we're trying to achieve, okay? So, for instance, the first song I gave you, the 1-6-4-5 chord progression, yes, I could solo minor pentatonic over the top, but in my mind, I'm not selling it. It's not what the song wants. It wants to be major. And that's a personal preference. You might look at that song and go, no, I really think minor would work great. Well, great. Now you're injecting or implementing the rock logic into that. And if that works for you, I'm going to be the last person to tell you that that's wrong. You just have to use your skills a bit to think about that.